Hey, Zane Griggs here. So today I'm going to explain why a low-calorie diet is not the way to go. It's not your friend, okay? So it's time of year when everybody's, finding ways to change parts of their life. Usually it's weight loss, okay? Pretty typical. And last week I talked to you about why, you don't want to go on a low-fat diet. So if you haven't seen that, go back and check that out because that's going to help you understand what I'm talking about today a little better. But while you're here, let me explain. Low-calorie diet. It's kind of based also on the idea of that a calorie is a calorie. So we're supposed to believe that 300 calories of broccoli affects our bodies the same way as 300 calories of chocolate cake. Makes sense, right? So anyway, calorie is a calorie. Let's cut some calories out and see, so basically they figure out your, like a nutritionist might figure out your BMR, your RMR, which is your basic metabolic rate or resting metabolic rate, which is basically how many calories you burn at rest. They might add in a little for activity, but just what your body burns in its normal function, organ function, everything going on, and a little for activity. And then they deduct a percentage of that to create a deficit. So if you have, let's say they figure out for round figures, they figure out your basic metabolic rate for a day is 2,000 calories. And they wanted to, reduce that by, say, 25%. So that'd be, 500 calories. So put you on a 1,500 calorie a day diet to create a 500 calorie a day deficit. So whatever that deficit is, you're supposed to make up with your fat stores, right? So if you're always going to burn, if you're burning 2,000 calories and we take you down to 1,500, well, there's a deficit there, and you can that much your body will make up with fat that's stored, and you'll lose weight, right? Well, except that our bodies don't act like a 6th grade math problem, okay? They're just not that linear. We don't have a closed system. We have hormones, and our brain notices things going on in our body and adjusts to it. Okay, so what happens, because most people who are doing this diet or being recommended, it's being recommended by nutritionists, are also on a typical low-fat diet, or at least one that's kind of high carb. It's mostly carbs, at least 45, probably 55, 60% carbohydrate, okay? Now remember that. It's not a low-carb diet. It's usually a higher carb diet. So you get that initial drop, okay, because you've cut calories. You get an initial drop in your weight, but your body adjusts to it. So your brain's not stupid, right? For most of us, and it sees what's going on. It's like, okay, we're not gaining enough calories, and we're losing weight kind of quickly here. Especially since most people don't go to the nutritionist and get the 25% cut. They usually just shoot from the hip, and they end up cutting it by a lot more. And maybe they're eating 800 or 1,000 calories. Maybe they cut it by 50% just because they're just, it's completely unscientific. They just say, I'll just cut calories, right? So body adapts. And what it does, it lowers your metabolic rate. So that BMR that was figured out, right, that your body is burning, well, now it's starting to drop to adapt to the low-calorie intake. That's to prevent you from starving to death, okay? But still called starvation mode. You're reducing your metabolic rate to compensate for the lack of calories coming in. So what do you think that does? That means your muscles, your organs, they start burning less energy. You have less energy, you have less energy. You have less energy to do things. So you're lowering your metabolic rate, which lowers your energy you have to be active. You feel lethargic, okay? And then you get down to that level, and it adapts, and the weight loss stops. So what happens when the weight loss stops? You either kind of cut it more, but most people kind of just give up, and they go back to eating the way they did before. So if you eat the way you did before, but now your metabolism's lower, what do you think happens? That's right, you gain all the weight back. So your metabolism dropped to that, let's say 1,200 calories, okay? Even if it's 1,500, okay? And you're like, I'm hungry now, I've got no energy, I've got to eat something, plus you're on a higher carb diet, so you're getting cravings, and you go back to eating the way you were before. So you go back to eating kind of like this 1,800, 2,000 calorie diet, and you're down here at the 1,200 or 1,500 calorie metabolic burn. Guess what happens? You put the weight on because you're eating more than you're actually burning to try to get the energy back because you feel terrible. Hold on 1 second, let me swipe that. All right, so pardon me. There's a silly notification in my way, and I don't like it. So we combine this with the fact that most people, like I said, are doing a higher carb diet. And what we talked about before was if you gain some weight and you're on a typical American diet or typical higher carb diet, you've probably got some insulin resistance going on, which means insulin is high. It's bypassing your muscles, so you've got low energy. It's not taking it to your muscles. It's storing it in your fat cells. And because insulin is high, you're not releasing fat. Okay? You're not releasing fat because the insulin levels are high. So let's put this with this low-calorie diet situation, and you've got increased starvation mode. Okay? So you're storing fat. You're not releasing any for energy. Your metabolic rate is dropping to adapt to your low-calorie diet, so even less energy. Okay? And you're hungry. Again, compiled hunger. Hunger from the insulin resistance, hunger from the low-calorie diet your body's trying to adapt to, but you keep cutting calories. So low energy, fat gain, no fat release, hunger. So all the reasons people hate dieting. Wonderful. All the things that make us go on yo-yo dieting, where metabolism drops, we start eating normal and come back up and gain all the weight back. So what do? What's the answer? Well, the answer is a low-carb diet, which I've been trying to, get the message out to everybody. A low-carb diet does not have those same reactions in your body. Low-carb diet, one, you could eat normal calories and still release fat because it doesn't inhibit fat release. Insulin stays low, so your body is ready to release fat. Plus the fat that you're eating stays in your system longer because insulin is not trying to sweep it away, okay? So with this fat being released, what happens, and you don't have the insulin, okay, triggering hunger, what happens is you're not as hungry, you don't have the cravings, so you're not as likely to go for the chip bag. One, it's not on your diet. Two, you just don't have the cravings. Your body is supplementing its energy needs with your fat stores, with your stored fat, which means you're burning fat and you're automatically just compensating for hunger or your energy needs with your fat, okay? Your metabolic rate does not drop, okay? This has been tested. It does not drop. So your metabolic rate stays high, okay? You end up eating a little less because you're just not hungry. You're not triggering the cravings with the insulin, and your body is releasing fat. So you actually get that sort of a naturally created deficit because you're not eating as much and your body is releasing fat on the front end. We're not trying to force our bodies to release fat by removing calories, even though it's being told by our hormones to hold on to the fat. We're opening up the gateways hormonally so that the fat is released, which then tells us, oh, we're not as hungry because fat's being released, and we end up eating less naturally. See what I'm saying? It's sort of it takes a reverse approach by addressing hormones rather than trying to force us like a machine to say, we're just not going to give you as much, okay, and see how you like that. Body adapts. So work with your body's adaptation method, eat low carb, insulin stays low, fat release happens, you eat less, and you're burning more fat to make up for the difference. If you have any questions, please comment below, and feel free to share or tag someone in the comments you think would benefit from this, because I think a lot of people right now, this is a focal point. It's very frustrating, and it doesn't have to be. So, again, comment with questions. I'm happy to help. Talk to you later.